Live here.
Live!
But we don't have to necessarily know what that means.
What's the someday of Black?
I don't
there's
know
a
that we
reason
want
this story happens now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the movie writes itself. Ooh.
I'm still streaming. How do I stop streaming? No! Every time I watch this, I realize how few different kind of clothes I wear because I've always got this on. This is just like my regular go-to hoodie that I just grab first thing in the morning. And because we're doing this, all the time, it's just like, yeah, I really have to make sure I start to wear different things. I'm like wearing it there, wearing it today. Anyway.
I'll make you feel a little bit better. Technically, that was like cut out of 3 days worth.
Right, but it did also make me realize that I do wear this a lot because I can think of several times I've referenced it. Yes. Campus Pride, Papermakers. Yes.
That's true. That is true.
Hello, Ben.
True. Hello, Jake. Welcome, everyone watching to Ben and Jake Write a Movie.
We do. We try.
Completely insane experimental podcast whereby we are writing our next spec live, if you didn't catch that already. And also talking other things, writing, the world, expounding.
Well, we've got an interview tomorrow coming up, don't we? Derek Kolstad, writer of John Wick, our dear friend, also produced our first movie, The Princess.
Yes, he is a wonderful guy. He's going to come on and spend some of his very valuable time with us.
Does he know it's live? I think we should probably.
He does.
Okay.
I told him. I mean, I'm pretty sure we told him it was.
Okay.
Well, we have a committed time. We don't know if he'll actually make it. So
yeah, he does sometimes go.
He's a very busy person, and we have to respect that. If he doesn't make it tomorrow, he'll make it a different day.
He is so busy. Whenever he tells us everything he has going on, I'm like, what? And then like the next day, you'll see his name on Deadline, something else that he forgot to mention.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm also doing whatever it is.
I've got like 100 projects going.
He's got about 100 projects. He just launched his own production shindig a few weeks ago, which was cool. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, be good to have him on. He's a good
I'm excited because my nerdy self just found out that Facebook has changed their analytics aspect to pages in their new business suite, and so now it's actually just as good as YouTube. In fact, looking at it just very, very briefly, it might even have more information than YouTube, which is pretty cool.
Well, there you are.
And the nerdy guy in me goes, "Ooh, that's cool. I get to see how many people watch and for how long and where they're from and all kinds of crazy shit." It actually makes you go, this is like how much information.
Oh yeah, totally. They know really all that stuff. I was reading a kind of horror thread the other day about someone who used to work at Twitter, and left years ago. This was when Twitter almost went under. It was interesting. Twitter was saved by the 2016 election, interestingly enough, because user engagement got so high. But anyway, he was talking about that they know how long you would. They know everything.
They know everything.
They know where you are.
And they're listening.
Yeah, he didn't go into that on this particular thing. But I know for a fact that some of them, I mean, our Alexis in our house are for sure.
Oh, I get ads on my threads that I'm like, there is.
I've tried it several times. I've tried it several times by going, you know what I really want to buy today? A pair of silver cowboy boots, just to see if they come up in my bit. They never have. So anyway,
really funny. Okay, we had a really funny one happen the other day, and it was something that Michelle had been talking about that ended up in my feed, and I was
hilarious.
Like, what the fuck? Like, she's breastfeeding, so it was something like, breast pump attachments.
Breast pump attachments.
Like, really? Anyway, so let's start off our day with a nice 15-minute chat about something. Yeah,
what should we talk about today? What should we discuss today?
Things that we want to discuss. I mean,
there's one thing I want to discuss.
What
popped into my mind? There's one thing I've been thinking about the other day, and it's kind of process based. It's not necessarily business based.
Process based is fine.
Yeah,
I mean, the process can be also business related.
Yeah, but it's about what you do when you don't know what to do next in a project. Let's say you get stuck and you don't know the answer to a note, to a question.
Okay.
And we have had, and I think experiences this year of projects where we've gone, oh, it's difficult. And rather than sitting with the uncomfortability of it, just going, oh, that's not right. I'm not going to do that right now. And then ultimately, in those particular cases, somewhat dropping the projects for the time being. We're actually discussing bringing one of them back at the moment. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? About kind of going, you get to a point and you go, what is this? And it can feel uncomfortable not knowing the answer. Yeah. Not knowing the thing that happens next. Sure. And sometimes that is your unconscious mind going, this isn't there yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that.
This is not good.
There is, this isn't good. This isn't the right idea.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's just work to get to that idea. And it's interesting. Again, I talked briefly yesterday about what I'm listening to at the moment, listening to it while I paint my models. For those of you who want to see my little painting desk, it's behind me there. There you are. That's what I'm doing. And I like to listen to audiobooks, so I do that. And Stephen King in On Writing talks about the fact that sometimes writing is like shoveling shit. In that he means it's work.
Right.
It's work.
I have a question for you that's going to bring it to our theme of talking about business.
Yes.
What do you do when that same thing happens, but you're being paid?
And that is a very good and difficult question to answer.
It is.
Because, I mean, in one sense, it's good that you're being paid.
Of course.
Because you have to come up with an answer.
Wait, you mean it's not just good because you can pay your bills?
It's not just good because you can pay your bills. It's good because you are in a situation where you have to come up with an answer. Because if you don't, you're not doing your contractually obliged work. Sure.
But do you think that the answer in those situations, and this is a big question.
Yeah.
But you hear about people dropping off various projects in their careers at times, writers, directors, actors, for what they tend to call creative differences. Mm-hmm. A lot of times that's like, wink, wink, we fired them. But a lot of times also, and we know of people that have done it, and you've mentioned it before, it's because they just were like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, and I don't have the answer, is it better to tell your employer, I'm stuck. I don't think I'm going to be able to deliver the best quality thing here. Or is it better to shovel the shit onto the page and deliver what may not be great, but at least it's delivered?
Yeah. I think it's a really difficult answer, isn't it?
I mean, no one ever wants to disappoint, but I guess the question is, which is worse? To shit the bed on a script that you are getting paid good money for, they then have to pay you for that, and it's unusable, or come clean and say, I'm going to walk away.
Yeah, we did a movie. It was a TV movie a few years ago. And we sold this as a pitch, and the direction and the notes we got pushed it in a direction that perhaps we wouldn't originally have pitched it as.
Sure.
And we struggled with that script.
Yeah.
But we did find a way through that we felt worked well enough. But I don't think either of us felt like it was great.
Yeah, but no one involved felt like we had shit the bed on it either.
Right.
And, even the network seemed to appreciate and like the draft that we turned in. It was a first draft. If we had continued down the road with that movie, they would have had 4 more bites at that apple. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It was like a TV style contract.
It was a TV style. We've done the outline. I think maybe we had a step or 2.
Oh, maybe we had 3 steps. Maybe we had 3 steps left. We had 2 rewrites and a polish left, but their mandate changed at the network, which happens all the time.
Sure.
And they were like, thank you so much for your work, but we'll never make this movie now because our bosses want to make other things. So we're going to release you from your contract, and then they pay you out.
Yeah.
But you're right, that was a real challenge. Now I will say, like, it felt like we were like
shoveling
dying
shit
inside as writers, shoveling shit. We worked over the holidays.
We did,
really struggling. We were late in our delivery because we were like, look, and we actually were honest about it. We went to the producer, who then communicated to the studio network that we were going to be late. And we told them very clearly, we said, look, the first way we tried it didn't work. It wasn't working, and we don't want to deliver a script that's really bad.
Yeah.
So we would rather have more time.
I'd forgotten that. I'd completely forgotten
that. We just knew that what we had was crap. And we were like, we don't want to deliver this.
Yeah.
And so we asked for more time. In that case, I wish that we could have written a brilliant movie, but the direction that we had been pushed in was not in our style. It wasn't our kind of movie, and so we did our best.
And we had an interesting realization, didn't we? In that particular version was a body swap movie, essentially, and we focused in our version on the more adult of the characters, and they wanted to focus far more on the teen in high school version of that.
And it really was turned into a bit of a high school movie.
And we went, you know what? Our strengths don't lie in writing high school. I mean, I've never had the experience of American high school.
Yeah.
Let alone today.
I just have no interest in revisiting it.
No, you're totally right. And totally. And we've learned, and since then, every time we've gotten a project that looks like it's about high school age people, we've gone, if it's going to be about the school experience and about life during and in high school, that's not right for us. But anyway, that was the realization.
We pitched actually people on projects saying, if you want to go this way, cool. Our way would be this way.
Totally.
And we haven't gotten those jobs.
Yeah. It's not about the age of the people involved. It's about what are they experiencing?
What are they doing? Like, we're not like, let's write a scene with 2 kids in the halls and like they're by the locker and they're trying like, that's just not fucking stuff we have any interest in writing.
But bringing it back to our question here.
Yeah.
In that version, we found a way through.
We stuck it out.
We struggled with it.
Yeah.
We delivered something that no one thought was crap, but that we go, oh, it wasn't the best version. It wasn't
brilliant either.
But partly because the notes on what they wanted pushed us in.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to kind of justify it. But at the same time, like, we have to be honest with ourselves. If it was the most genius draft that anyone had ever read, they probably could have still pushed it forward at the network.
Yeah.
But it was a first draft also. So that's the other thing is like, when you're developing a pitch, your first draft isn't the movie that they're going to make. It's a first draft. And granted, they always say, producers will always tell you, well, you got to turn in a first draft that's like a third draft. Like, you got to have it like really, really there. But like, there's a kind of unrealistic expectation of writers to like deliver their first draft with no studio notes and no, I mean, you usually do a producer pass in between, which we did, and we did our own rewrite beforehand, which we did. But like, who knows what that movie would have become had they come back to us and said, here's a full round of notes. Now go do your rewrite.
Sure.
you know.
So, I think the aspect of if you're being paid for it, I think you need to have, and if you are truly, truly, truly stuck and you've gone to as many of your creative friends as you can use to talk things through, and you've spent a long time with it, and you really genuinely cannot find anything that really works, and then I think in that very rare situation, discretion being the better part of valor.
Yeah. I mean, at least be honest with your producer.
Yes.
And say, I'm stuck. Because who knows? Maybe they have the idea to get through.
Maybe they do. Absolutely right. Or your manager, or your agent, or the guy who works at Starbucks. Whatever it is. Like,
the producer can always back channel with the studio and say, hey, they're really stuck on this part. They're trying to get through. It's not happening. It's not working. Should we have another creative meeting?
Sure.
I think dropping off a project is your absolutely very last possible thing.
Yes.
But I also would say, if you know something is total, absolute shit, which, come on, people, when it is.
When it is. Yeah, totally.
I don't think I'd deliver it. Because you risk never working for those people ever again.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I know that like the dropping off a project could be hard, but we just had an experience where we dropped off a project. Granted, it wasn't a paid gig, but
it wasn't a paid gig. Yeah.
And we were in there with them and we had committed to do it and we got stuck and we were honest with them and we said, look, this isn't going to work for us. It's not our kind of movie. We thought we could get in. It's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And we were worried. We were like, God, they're never going to work with us again. And the reality is they will.
And they reached out to us recently and said, hey, do you want to do a thing?
Yeah, but versus had we delivered a horrible draft.
Yeah.
Then they go, ooh.
Oh, these guys. Yeah.
Maybe we thought they were good, but maybe
yeah.
Like, only good sample. Like, I'd rather risk someone being disappointed than someone having a last perception of me as like an awful writer. But it's tough. I'm not saying that's an easy decision.
I know.
Totally. I feel very thankful that every draft we have delivered, I've at least felt was solid.
Right.
Even if it wasn't.
Even if we didn't. Yeah, I agree.
It felt like it was. I always feel like we moved the ball forward. I think that's what they always are looking for is forward movement.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not there, even if you're not delivering the draft that's like, oh, we're going to go shoot this. Is it better than what you originally discussed? Is it better than what they were potentially even thinking? Or is it even just a little bit better than the last draft?
Sure. Yeah, totally. And then when it comes to some of your own projects where perhaps you're writing something on spec and you get stuck, again, I think constantly just kind of talking things through, approaching situations from different angles, going, how can I keep asking questions?
And it kind of goes to the question that we were talking about yesterday, though, doesn't it? When he was asking, like, at what point do you put a script down? And, your response to that was put it down, give yourself 3-6 months distance from it, because of distance can do wonders. And I agree with that. So it really just depends on like how long, like, yes, it's shoveling shit, but how long do you want to shovel shit? Like, if it stays shoveling shit for too long and you're not getting paid and it is on spec, move on to the next thing. Right? Like what Dave Madelon was talking about when we had him on, and he was like, I write 3 or 4 things at the same time because if I get stuck on this one, I just switch over to that one.
Yeah, totally.
And then by the time I get stuck on that one, I've had some distance.
Figured it out. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
So, like, I think, like, yes, put the work in, struggle for a day or two, see if you can knock your head against the wall and talk to your friends and talk to people and try and figure it out. But if you're writing a spec and you just are like, fuck, I don't know where to go with this, and it's been, I don't know, however long for you personally that you want to work, start writing a new spec.
Yeah, totally.
Start writing a new spec and then come back to it.
Yeah.
And come back to it with,
sure.
fresh creative eyes in
a
week, a month, 2 months, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those writer block moments, they're hard to get.
Yeah, that's it. And also I think it's what comes down to, isn't it? Is quote unquote writer's block. Are you disconnected? So again, it's like people have opinions about what writer's block is. And there are, many different opinions about it. For me, whenever I've been blocked with something, it's because of a connectivity issue. I don't feel connected to a project, to the characters, to the situation. There's not a pressing enough question that I'm trying to answer on the page. So again, it's why I kind of come down to this thing of just constantly keep asking questions. And again, it's what I think is useful about being in a partnership or a writers group is being able to do that.
Right.
So
cool.
Anyway,
let's start asking some questions.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
What was that accent?
It's Arnie's accent in Kindergarten Cop.
Is that a line from Kindergarten?
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I think it sounds a little more like the Adam Sandler accent in the Hotel Transylvania.
Right? Yeah. It's
yes. All right. So yesterday, we left off our Act 2 outline. We'd gotten through a cool ass car chase. We pulled into a parking garage, and we start debating over what to do with this girl in the trunk.
Yeah.
And what we discussed was, this is the part of the movie where we get our exposition. This is the part of the movie whereby the audience needs to be filled in on what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, because they don't know yet. They're just like Sam. They're completely in the dark. We have two characters who basically know.
Yes. Or
Hank,
Charlize. Most.
Yep.
I guess, and part of that question is, and I think we've talked about this in two different ways, was, does Hank believe that Sam is the Antichrist, or does Hank believe that Sam is just a demon? But I think we ended up going Antichrist because there's the whole, he pulls her shirt down and sees the mark and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So with that, I think that the question is, and the name of the episode is, hiding exposition or not.
What do you mean by that, Ben?
What I mean is there a way for us to get our exposition in a way that it doesn't feel like exposition, or not? Sometimes you just have to say it.
Yeah. So in The Matrix, just tells him, comes out, and you see it in a visual way. It's done in an interesting way.
Yeah.
But he basically just goes, hey, Neo, hey, audience, I'm going to tell you the history and basically what the Matrix is. I'm going to tell you.
Right.
And I love that sequence. I really like it. I really like it a lot. But again, because it's done in a cool way. He's sat in the chair. He goes into the
visually
TV.
Cool. It also is
fun.
Such a big reveal of world. I mean, it really is.
It is.
Other than just exposition, it's a reveal.
Yes.
It is a welcome to the real world.
Completely.
Which is,
man has been reduced.
I mean, it's like,
Yeah. You go, the first time you witness the Matrix, you're like, mind blown.
Right.
Hang on.
Sometimes
what?
You get exposition in a scroll at the beginning of the words on black.
Sometimes you do. And we make the joke, are we going to do words on black or not?
Right.
It's more about establishing world, though, isn't it? I guess. But sometimes not. I mean, classic Star Wars scroll.
So, there's Lucas does exposition in lots of different ways, right? Like, so he gives us some exposition through that opening scroll. But then there's a lot of information that he doles out that is done actually really, really well.
Yeah.
For example, when Luke wants to go to the academy and he complains that he's going to have to stay here for another season, and he rushes off, and Uncle Owen is like, da-da-da-da, and his aunt is like, he's got too much of his father in him.
That's what I'm worried about.
And you go, okay.
Yeah,
and that's a bit of exposition without actually making it clear. And then even, I'll go one step further, when he goes to Obi-Wan, and he ends up with Obi-Wan, the exposition is actually done really well because it's through character. So rather than it just being like, are you sitting comfortably? I'm now going to explain the rules of the world. He asks him about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And there's a character beat of, I haven't heard that name in a long time. And he's like, well, who is he? And he's like, well, that's me. And there's an actual flow rather than just a dump. And then even to the point where he starts talking about Darth Vader and he starts talking about the Force, it has a natural, Luke is curious. He's on the edge of his seat. We're learning it through. It doesn't feel like exposition as much as I'm Morpheus, and now I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. It's coming out of the relationship that Ben and Luke have, and that Ben is revealing to Luke information that Luke has never known and that Ben feels he needs to know now. And so there's a real kind of like flow to that scene that I feel is great.
And there's several different kinds, isn't there? There is drip-fed exposition, whereby you just get little bits here, little bits there, and you're putting the pieces together.
The breadcrumbs,
You go, oh, okay. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. And then there is just the exposition dump. And here's the thing: in this particular case, in our movie, in our story, Sam needs to know.
Yeah, what does she need to know?
Well, she needs to know basically what the fuck is going on. Why did you just bundle me in the back of a car? Who are those people? Why were you trying to kill me a minute ago? And now you're not. Who are you? What the fuck is going on?
Right.
And these are questions that the audience has at this moment too. What the fuck is going on? Who is, not at no point in our story up to this point have we said, well, Sam's the Antichrist. Demons have been manipulating stuff for years in order to make this happen. There's a symbol on her body that's going to be growing, and by the time it's fully grown, she'll become this being of ultimate darkness, and that won't be reversible, and that will spend an end for mankind.
But is there a way to decide, and I guess this is my question, is there a way for us to elegantly only give as much as is needed for the characters at this time?
Yeah, perhaps.
Not just do, okay, let me explain everything to you now.
Yeah.
Like, what does Sam need to know? What does Hank need to know? What does Charlize need to know? And thus, we kind of get a lot of information, but through their need to know the answers. So, for example, what is this mark on her body? Well, it's the mark of Cain. Is there a way to go for, this is just, maybe it's a bad pitch, but them arguing the mark on her back, it's not finished yet. Well, the mark of Cain is not necessarily finished until the person's actually become the Antichrist. And all of a sudden,
you go, oh, I know, I get all these people.
What that is.
Yeah.
Like, if it's
I hear it. Yeah.
Well, we should just kill her. No, we can't kill her. She hasn't turned yet. Well, turned. She's supposed to turn. That's what the mark does. Bad dialogue.
Sure,
way through story rather than Sam going, okay, tell me what's going on here. And then we go,
Right.
well, demons have done this, and you, dear, have the mark of Cain. Now, what's the mark of Cain? The mark of Cain happens to be blah, 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 blah. You know, I feel like there's got to be a way for us to kind of, because there's so much conflict, and because we have 3 characters and some have different pieces of information, there's probably a way for us to elegantly weave in a lot of this exposition. The question is, how much do we need now? You know? I think about Terminator again. Now, Terminator really is an exposition dump.
Yeah.
But it is done on the run. And that's another way that people say you can get around it, is you add a level of intensity or add a level of movement to the scene. And I mean, they literally, when they say on the run, it's almost like a literal thing. It's like while the characters are in motion of some kind, whether they're traveling somewhere, whether they're running from someone, whether they're hiding from someone because they're being chased, whatever it is, we get the exposition through that. And because of the intensity that's going on, your audience isn't dragged down by it. Because that's the risk. The risk of a dump is that the audience starts to snooze.
Yes, because it is, are you sitting comfortably? There's nothing happening in this scene other than information being presented to you.
Exactly.
There is no conflict. There is no forward momentum. It's just,
So like in Terminator, they escape, and her first thing, like, and I can't remember the exact dialogue, but it's like, what was going on there? Who was that? What was that thing? That's coming from an actual emotional place. And so Reese's response isn't really exposition. It's an answer to a direct question.
Yes, while they're driving away.
While they're driving away. Completely. And he's like, Terminator, T1, T something, Cyberdyne system. And now then he kind of goes into, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, in the future. And then there's a bit of a dump. And but then Cameron does something nice, which is he'll like dump for a couple lines, and then there'll be an emotional reason to go to the next thing. You know? And it's like there's a bit of a push and pull in the way that he did exposition there, where I do feel like that scene could have been a boring exposition dump to a certain degree. Had they escaped, because they do end up parking in a parking garage and leaning down, and he does continue some exposition during that. But had they fully escaped, like we're doing in our draft, gone to a parking garage, like we're doing in our draft, and then at that point she says, Reese, you need to tell me what's going on. And Reese goes, okay, Sarah, I'll tell you what's going on. And then for 5 minutes we get, so there's this thing called a Terminator. He's after you. Like, that would be horrible. But instead, we get a little bit in the car drive, a little bit coming out of the intensity.
And then there's even more later.
And then we continue to get even more later. So he splits it up. And it's really about, what do I need to know now?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So that question then for us is, what do we need to know now? I would say that we need to know that Sam will become the Antichrist.
Yeah, I mean, I think
the next period
we need to know that the change has begun.
The
mark of Cain means that Sam is going to turn into the being of ultimate darkness. We got to know that.
Yeah. Do we need to know and want to know the consequences of what that would mean? Even if it's just a hint of something? What does that, and again, it's like from Sam's point of view, what does that even mean? And it doesn't have to, it could just be like,
maybe
it's bad. It's real bad.
I mean, I think you hear the words being of ultimate darkness and you automatically, as an audience or reader, know that it's bad.
Sure.
I don't need to be told that that's bad.
Right.
But if we want details, you could also set up a question like, wait a minute, being of ultimate darkness. What are you talking about? What does that mean? And then a cop drives by and the question is dropped and we don't answer it.
Sure.
And then it's like, okay, we need to get out of here.
Right.
It's bad dialogue. we can answer more questions later, but for
right
now,
yeah, sure. Yeah.
You know, again, bad dialogue version.
Yeah.
But like there's a way again to drip out, okay, what do I need to know right now? Well, the reason we are here is because you, Sam, are about to turn into the Antichrist. The other thing that I would want to know, although I think the audience already does, so I don't need it to be explained to Sam directly, but it's in the previous scene, we need to fully understand that both Hank and Charlize were there to kill her and that they changed their minds. Now, what could be a fun moment is they find a new car, they're driving away. Now Sam is awake and in the back seat, and we cut in, and she's like, "So you both were going to kill me?" And Charlize is like, "Well, actually, I was trying to save you. You know, that's not entirely true." You know, it's like,
yeah.
You get, okay, again, it's like, okay, I get the exposition, and also you could even say, like you were saying, so you both were going to kill me, and Charlize goes, "Well, if you know, you are going to end the world." And then I know what being the being of ultimate darkness.
Sure, totally. Yeah.
By saying something like that in an emotional kind of contextual way.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
You know, there are things that I want to know. Like, I want to know what Hank's life has, all the backstory that we've talked about Hank. I don't know any of it yet. I don't know who he is. I don't know where he comes from. I don't know why he even is here. And at a certain point, you know, what the audience needs to know also, it's not always just plot related. Sometimes it's like an emotional thing of, I don't know who this person is and I can't connect with them unless I know more about them. So it may not be about plot, but it can be about character. Right. So I feel like I know a lot more about Charlize and Sam's characters than I do about Hank.
Right.
So if there's a way for us to drip in to all of this chaos, the fact that Hank is a demon hunter specifically, and that he's been, you know, he knows all about the prophecy, and that he, you know, his mentor, what we don't need to go into details, had prepared him for this day. And I go, okay, at least I kind of get it now. You're on the good team,
right?
You know, I get who you are now. You might be a little crazy. You know, you're Woody Harrelson. You've got a little like screw loose. Fun. Or your what's his name that we also talked about from Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Wide-eyed crazy thing going on. But you're like, you know, like, and is there a way to be like, you know, what the fuck were you doing there anyway? And he's like, I was doing my job. Doing your job. What the hell are you? I'm a demon hunter. You know,
like, Sam laughs.
You know, I'm not a demon, you know.
Yeah,
but she is.
Right.
What? You know, I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. But this is the moment. This is the sequence
where
we at least have to drop enough.
And then I think as well to understand why the next part of the movie is happening and what our plan is moving forward and why it is.
Yes.
You know, it's so now what? Well, we're going to figure that out, kid.
Yeah.
But for now, we just got to keep you out of their hands.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And why? You know, I think one of the questions we had asked, and I can't remember the answer, maybe you will, is what happens if Zod and the other demons get her now? Is it just that a la a werewolf or a zombie, they chain her up and let the transformation take hold? Is that it?
It's a good question.
You know,
it's a good question.
What is the what is the urgency that involves not letting them get a hold of her?
Yes. What will happen if you fall into their hands?
Like, why are we running? Other than the fact that they could kill us, and I that might be enough. Might be enough. And maybe it is as simple as, if they get a hold of you, you're going to transform, and no one will be able to stop it.
Right.
But I don't necessarily buy that. Like, imagine, okay, Zod captures.
It's passive, doesn't it? It's like, what are we going to do? We're going to keep her in a barn.
Yeah, well, but also it's like, if Zod captured Sam in the last scene, would Charlize and Hank have just walked away, gone up? He got her. Game over. No,
they
would have fucking gone after her.
Find her, yeah.
Absolutely. And they would have most likely kicked the shit out of all the demons guarding her,
right,
and rescued her.
Yes,
they
would have.
So that doesn't feel that urgent when you're saying, well, it's going to take a few days for you to transform.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another, I don't know, it's not really the same type of exposition, but it is a uncovering of the stakes of what we're, like you were saying, what are we doing right now? Where are we headed right now? Well, we're going into hiding. Why are we going into hiding? Well, because Zod and the police now are both after us.
Right.
And what?
Right.
And why is that bad? Well, because they're bad. Well, they're not going to kill Sam. That's the last thing they want to do. So technically her life isn't in danger until the mark of Cain forms on her shoulder.
Yes.
They
ultimately, that's the end part of it, isn't it? Yeah.
Is there a way that we can get to the solution of, we're going to reverse this spell quicker, so that the stakes aren't, we have to hide you from Zod, but more that we have to stop the transformation. Zod is an obstacle to us stopping the transformation. Our mission isn't to save you from him. Our mission is to save you from the transformation.
Right.
That's what we're going to do. God wants to stop us. That's what he wants.
He wants to stop us from stopping the transformation.
Right.
And we want to stop the transformation.
So that's where the urgency comes from.
Yes.
And that's where the engine, as you if you will, of the next of Act 2 comes from. We have to
stop. Right, fine. So then that becomes once that's decided, then I have and how are we going to do that? Where are we going to do that?
All those other questions to
along
answer,
with all these other questions.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's right though, because I think that then gives us a clarity of purpose.
It gives us a through line. Goes, what do your characters want? Well, they want to make sure that Sam doesn't transform into the Antichrist. How are they going to do it? Well, they have to figure that out first, and then once they figure that out, then they're going to do it. They have to get to the ancient book that's in the monastery on the top of the Skellig Islands, which, by the way, is fucking awesome. That could be something cool. They shot Star Wars there.
That's where they shot Star Wars.
But there's an ancient scroll, an ancient Dead Sea Scroll that describes it, or some shit like that.
I mean, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So if it were, let's open up our document, because then we're going to start making some.
We wanted to go to scratch or outline.
I think we'll go to. I don't know.
We're still doing well. There's a couple outline things that we can put in, I think.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Although we didn't decide on specifics, there is. Let me just open up that document first, because there is the, what these actual scenes are, and then there's the content aspect of what they are as well. So, like, we have this aspect of they're parked. I don't think the parking garage is good, because actually, I don't either.
Is there another?
That's what happened.
I quite liked what you threw out yesterday, which was used car lot.
Cool. Into a used car lot, and it's late at night, and so
exactly right. Yeah. Great.
So then they get there, they argue over what to do next. Exposition gives us the stakes of if Sam were to turn. So we're getting this without Sam actually being there. And what's kind of nice about that too is that then Sam can get all the information, but we don't have to be there when she gets it.
Sure. Yeah.
Like anything, and this is another kind of thing, for anyone who's watching that's somewhat just still learning to write, you don't have to tell the audience twice.
Yes, you should absolutely avoid doing that. And also,
sometimes you have to. Sometimes it makes sense.
Sure.
But a lot of times you can cut into conversations late.
Yes.
And so if the same information needs to be conveyed to multiple people so that plot is satisfied, then cut into a conversation after the fact and
get their reaction to it.
Or get a reaction to, holy shit, I never knew it was that bad.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, they just told her.
Yeah.
You know, and that way you're not repeating. There's only so much time you have on screen. You don't want to waste it repeating.
And so many pages. It's like, would you rather have your pages spent taking up stuff that the reader already knows, or we just, so what am I? Sit down, kid. This is going to take a while. Cut back to, wait, you can't be serious. Afraid so. That's the best dialogue I've ever written.
There you go.
You're welcome.
So up until this point, just to track it, we have had Hank and Charlize confront each other before Zod shows up. And so we know Hank is a demon hunter and that Charlize is a demon.
Yep.
We've now established that we are in a world fully, without any question, that demons and demon hunters exist.
Yep.
And then Zod and the others will show up. Holy shit, there's more demons.
Yep.
Demon fight, demon fight, demon fight. So we don't have to go over. Charlize and Hank know who and what each other are now. We don't have to say that again.
Yeah.
But the argument here is we've got the fucking Antichrist in the trunk. What are we going to do with her? In fact, just get rid of
got the fucking Antichrist in the trunk.
What are we going to do? And that's the question that they're trying to do, right?
Yeah. Then Sam wakes up.
So do we cut outside and they open the trunk?
Either that or Sam wakes up and starts banging on the inside of the trunk.
Yeah.
There
was a moment that we had talked about yesterday of one of them going, well, what if we let her decide or something like that, or let's go see what she looks like or something. And they open the trunk, and she's in there. But I'm fine with her waking up at this moment. What the fuck do we do with her? Bang, 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 kicking at the back of the car. Bang, bang. Sam has woken up and is kicking the back of the car.
Yeah.
So exterior, Hank's car. And this is actually one of those moments where you could actually do moments later.
Sure.
Hank and Charlize stand. I almost see them standing in front of the trunk the way that you've got that Quentin Tarantino moment of John Travolta.
Exactly the same thing. Yeah.
In front of the trunk. Do they both have weapons? Do they both pull out their weapons?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, both got a gun.
Both.
Yeah.
Full weapons. And then pop it.
Yeah.
But Sam still looks like Sam.
Yeah.
And is terrified.
Yeah.
So at this moment, just recapping the exposition that we, the audience, know. We know Hank is a demon hunter, Charlize is a demon. We know other demons are after them. We know that Sam is the Antichrist and that is bad. And
we don't know what this. So what don't we know? We don't know what the symbol is yet.
Right.
And what that means.
That
I think we want that somewhere in this next section. Because as we talked about, it's going to be that visual thing, which is constantly growing. By the time it gets to there, you're done.
So, okay. Is there a moment, this is just kind of a fun beat, right? Where we are outside the car and we open her up and she's terrified. Who the fuck are you? What's going on? What you know, and they're like, shut up. And, you know, Hank's like, take off your shirt. And she's like, what? And Charlize is like, just the shoulder. And she's like, huh? And she pulls down and it's still not complete.
Right.
She's like, what the hell is that? Because she hasn't actually noticed it before herself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Forget the boyfriend going, what is that on you?
Yeah, fine.
You know, take that out.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? And they're like, and Charlize goes, I told you. And he's like, come here. And him and Charlize are over there. And he's like, it's still there. We should take care of her now. And she's like, it hasn't formed yet, which means we still have time. If it doesn't form,
great. So this is the other way that you can do exposition, which is through an argument.
And they come back over to her, and she's like, "So, are you going to tell me what's going on?" And then we cut. Right. So and we already know everything that they're going to tell her.
Yeah,
and we cut out of it.
Yeah. So exposition via argument is another great way to do exposition.
Well, because again, it comes out of story.
Comes out of character and emotion. Yes. You know, you always say that, Ben, ever since we were kids, you know.
Yeah.
You always used to say in science class, you're such a stupid, you're so stupid, Jake. Even when we did drama together, stupid Jake, stupid Jake, stupid Jake. Then when you were best man at my wedding.
Don't ever do it this way. Yeah, but so Sam looks at it. She asks, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
They tell Hank says, "Take off your shirt." Your shirt. Her eyes go wide.
Yeah.
Charlize clarifies. It's the right shoulder.
Yeah.
Sam pulls it down. The mark isn't finished forming. Sam, she is freaked out. What is that? Hank pulls Charlize away. We should kill her. That's the mark. Charlize says it's not complete. There's still time. And actually, he should be like, "You're telling me there's a way to reverse this?" Because none that I was ever taught.
Great. Then we also learn he was taught. Interesting.
Reverse this. Well, I was taught.
Right.
And it's just there might be.
Yeah.
And we owe it to her to try something like that.
Great. And if the worst comes to the worst, takes out a gun.
If she starts to turn too far, we'll kill her.
Great.
Also setting up the stakes that Sam's life is in danger from them as well.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely right. Yeah. Great.
We'll kill her. They go back to Sam. So what's going on?
Great.
Now, the next scene is probably them in a new car with her in the back seat. They've changed cars.
Okay. Great. Great. Yes. This one will do.
Driving somewhere else.
Hank's hotwired it, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, we could just be in that moment. We're all in a new car. Hank is hot wiring it underneath. It's an old beater, which is why he can even do that.
Yeah.
We're in an old Chevy, something like that,
Yes, totally.
Interior old Chevy.
Yeah.
night. Sam is in the back seat. Charlize, the passenger. Hank is hot wiring it. It'd be funny if someone was like, you couldn't choose a nicer car, and he's like, you know how to hotwire a Tesla?
Yeah, right, great.
You know? Car.
Yeah.
Tesla.
It's a fun moment. It's the banter, isn't it, between them all? That's what's
exactly.
So yes.
They leave the lot, and we understand that they have filled in Sam for the most part. And I do like the moment as they're pulling out, Sam has another realization. So you both came to kill me?
Right.
And that's how we really know that they've told her everything.
Yeah, great. Can't believe you were both going to kill me. Yeah.
Sam,
yeah.
Like shakes her head in disbelief.
Right.
Leave. Both.
Great.
And at that point, we have a lot of, exposition. That's most of what we need to know, right? We don't know exactly what's going on with the demons yet. We don't know exactly how they're going to fix it yet. We don't know a ton of.
Yeah, we don't have while we're driving, I don't know. Yeah.
I think if we get to the scroll, as we're getting to the scroll, they're going, so you really think that this is going to have the answer to turning me back? Well, that's what the da-da-da-da-da, we get some back. Well, wouldn't Zod come here too? Probably. So we need to be on the lookout.
Yeah, right.
And you and him used to.
So is the next major set piece going to be? I'll just say breaking into the Chicago Museum of Natural History to get the scroll.
I mean, if this is a $75 million movie, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know where it should be per the kind of desire that we have to keep this around.
Tucson Public Library.
The Tucson Public Library happens to have a
section
with ancient scrolls.
Looking for ancient. Oh yeah, it's an ancient. It's under ancient Aramaic.
No, it doesn't work. But I was thinking that actually, if you want it, you had mentioned bringing Sam's family back into it, or her boyfriend and whatever. Like, if there's a version whereby they go back to her place because she has a bunch of ancient books, and the reason that she didn't look in it then is because she just assumed she was going there to kill her. There's a version to go back to that set and to go back to that place, which would also. I would believe that she would, as a person who also had a book about the prophecy, have potentially information about reversing. That's what I mean. I'm sorry. Charlize's.
I thought yes. Okay. Yeah, I was going. Why does Sam?
No. Charlize's bookstore. Come on, you're supposed to understand.
But if she had it, I guess we're going to have to wrap up in a minute. But my question is if she had a way to undo it at the bookstore, why didn't she bring that book with her? Just because she thought she was going to be bad already?
There was no. She wouldn't have necessarily.
Gotcha. Yeah, I could see how it could work.
Her idea is the Antichrist is here. I have to go kill her.
Yeah, gotcha. And then when she gets there, she's not the Antichrist, and it's like, oh shit. Exactly. Yes, okay, that's interesting.
So
there might be a way. It's funny. I need my books.
And then we could run into boyfriends.
Yeah,
there could be some conflict. Who's this guy?
Yeah.
Who are you? There's some fun and humor between David Harbour and Luke Wilson, and I don't know.
It's a good idea.
Luke Wilson is the boyfriend.
It's great. Why not?
Why not?
Get him.
I know.
Awesome.
So maybe that's where they go.
Maybe that's
where they go somewhere.
Not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, should we call that a day for today then?
I mean, we're at the hour mark. I think that's correct. I think we've done some good pushing forward into these. I think just for our audience to understand, like it's going to take us longer to get through because we're taking these extra 15 or 20 minutes at the beginning to kind of talk about other things. But I actually think it will be a more fun podcast to enjoy if we're not only doing this.
I've been joined by my wife.
Someone's just joined us live. We actually also have a comment that I always like sharing.
Do, absolutely, yeah. It's so cool to see you guys work through your ideas and solving all these problems. Thanks, Riley. So thank you for sharing. Question, if you have time. How do you evaluate an idea when it's for TV? Let's answer this question at another time. Riley, we will answer that. Why don't we answer this one maybe Monday?
Yeah, we won't have time tomorrow because we have, in case you missed it, a very big interview tomorrow with our beloved Derek Kolstad.
Derek Kolstad's coming tomorrow.
But we will get to this answer, Riley. So
yeah, why don't we answer this one on Monday?
This will be Monday, episode 35 will be the plan. I would like, though, Riley, if you could clarify for me the question, how do you evaluate an idea when it's for TV? Do you mean if it should be a movie or TV? Or do you mean, does it make a good TV show?
Yes.
Because I'm just a little confused by the wording that you have there. And I want to make sure we answer the right question for you.
Totally.
All right, guys.
All right, go ahead.
Everyone, thanks for watching.
Thanks so much. Catch up with you soon.
Bye-bye.